Things you didn't know about the Sacramento good guys tragedy.
It was a chilling scene. I heard more than a minute's worth of shots back and forth. The suspect started shooting.
Number 1, a group of brothers and their friend held 40 people hostage at a good guys electronics store in Sacramento, California. This happened back on April 4th, 1991, and on that day, this store was having a spring sale, so it was pretty busy. But little did they know that 3 brothers and their friend were on their way with 3 pistols and a shotgun. All of them were teenagers except for the oldest brother, Lo. He was 21, the rest were 19, and the other 2 were 17. Lo had bought the guns legally a week before at a sporting goods store. The 3 brothers and their friend were all Vietnamese immigrants, and they were frustrated with trying to adjust to the American lifestyle, and they really wanted to go back to Vietnam. Now, it was reported that they were in a gang called the Oriental Boys, but that wasn't true. They may have been trying to impress them, but they weren't part of it. Earlier, the brothers had asked their dad if they could use the car to go fishing, and he agreed. So they went and picked up their friend and started looking for stores to target. And then they saw that the good guys electronics store had a full parking lot, and that was because of the spring sale, so they chose to target that one. So they parked the car, and as they were walking through the parking lot, they put on ski masks, and then as they made it into the store, they shot some rounds up into the ceiling, and people started scattering at that point. One guy tried to make it out the front door, but they stopped him. They told everyone to get down, and then they went to the assistant manager and made him lock the front door and the back door, and then had some employees pile TVs in front of the back door so the police couldn't get in easily. And then he made the assistant manager call the cops because they were holding everyone hostage and they had demands that they wanted met. While the assistant manager was on the phone with the cops, they told him to leave it off the hook, that way they could hear everything that was going on, and he was able to do that without the shooters noticing. So their first list of demands was 4 bulletproof vests, firearms, $3 million, and a military helicopter to get them to Thailand safely. From there, they would make their way to Vietnam. Meanwhile, outside, the police were surrounding the building. There was a sniper on a roof of an adjacent store and one in the parking lot underneath an SUV. The police made an offer of 1 bulletproof vest for all of the women and children, but they denied that and said that they would do 1 woman and 2 children. But the police officer delivering the bulletproof vest must be down to their underwear so they know that they're not armed.
He needed to strip to his underwear to prove he wasn't armed. He delivered 1 vest to a female hostage who was then released, carrying her baby and a young girl. Throughout the afternoon, 6 more hostages would be released.
And they also forced some of the hostages to sit in front of the glass doors, that way they would be human targets, protecting them from being shot. So after they got the bulletproof vest, they were pretty upset because they looked at it and it was pretty old and beaten up, and they thought it was fake. The youngest brother, who was 17, he was really pissed, and he was walking around complaining about how it was fake, and then he heard something at the back door, which was the police messing with it, and he screamed to get away from the back door. And he also saw some feet poking out from a hiding spot, and he found a dude named John Lee Fritz hiding, who was actually an employee of the store, but it was actually his day off, and he had only come in to buy some speakers for the sale. So the youngest brother forces him up and then tells him to put on the bulletproof vest because they're going to test it out. So John puts on the vest, and then they have him stand there, and the youngest brother was just about to shoot him when one of the other hostages says, "Why don't they just put it on the ground and test it that way?" And then the oldest brother, who was 21, agreed with them, and that's what they did. And after testing it, it ended up being a real one. After a couple more hours, they let some of the hostages go to the bathroom, and the first one is a lady who was pregnant, and she ends up having a miscarriage because she was stressing so much, like while she's in the bathroom. Crazy. But after 7 hours had gone by and their demands still hadn't been met, they were ready to start shooting hostages. So the youngest brother started separating a group of 8 hostages and put them into 2 different groups of 4. He was going to flip a coin, and if it landed on heads, he was going to shoot someone from the group on the right, and if it landed on tails, he would shoot someone from the group on the left. And when it landed on tails, and he ended up shooting the employee who was there on his day off, John Fritz. But before shooting him, he says that he'll shoot him in the leg if he goes out on camera and tells the world what their demands are, and he'll let them live, basically. But he has to take the bullet to the leg.
And a hostage goes down.
Crazy.
A SWAT team enters the rear of the building. They hide in a storage room in contact with their commander via radio.
So after he made it out, he went on camera with one of the news stations like he agreed and told him the shooter's demands. And then flash forward about an hour later, one of the hostages that was standing in the window, he ended up passing out because he was a diabetic. and then the youngest brother walks over and says, well, it looks like he just volunteered to be the next person to get shot, and then shot him in the leg. So after that, the cops jumped into action and decided to give them another bulletproof vest, but this time they were going to put it right outside of the door, hoping that they would send a hostage out to get it, and then as soon as the hostage moved, it would give the sniper a shot at one of the shooters. It almost worked, but right as the sniper shot, the glass door closed, deflecting the bullet. And I don't know if you saw, but the shooter ran back across and started firing at the hostages on the ground. So the hostage right here, Veronica, that they made go out to get the vest, her dad was also inside and ended up being one that got shot and unfortunately died as he was running through. The police burst in, they killed 3 of the 4 shooters. The oldest brother survived and got 45 counts of life back to back. 3 of the hostages ended up dying and 14 were injured. And this is still the biggest hostage situation in US history.